there was an interesting piece from the New York Times about doing less during the holidays. It talked about a mom who she says she's like a lot of moms are concerned about the imagined future and nostalgia. Do you follow this?
Future nostalgia?
So, yeah, mothers often feel an emotion that this one psychologist calls imagined future nostalgia, in which they picture their grown-up offspring reminiscing fondly about their childhood.
Oh, okay.
You want your kids to look back on Christmas time with all warm, fuzzy feelings.
And so you feel the pressure to make it the Hallmark Channel Christmas experience, minus the divorces and remarriages and Christmas tree salesman stuff, but like the iconic. You want your kids, oh, do you remember when mother would do this and that? And that's just exhausting when you're trying to raise a family.
To think in advance for your kids.
Right.
Yeah, this one particular person made latkes like Dr. Rydelnik was talking about. And she's like, I'm not doing this. She ordered them because it's more actually about the experience of eating them together than slaving over a stove making them. Now, I bring this up because they're encouraging people to do less over the holidays to release some stress. You and your family made some pretty dramatic decisions, Lauren.
Yeah, we decided we're all kind of staying in our own places for Christmas.
So if I understand it correctly,
no one's traveling.
Your parents are in the Chicagoland area. Your sister is as well.
Yes.
Your other sister's in Kentucky.
Yep.
You and Eddie are now in Cuyahoga Falls.
Correct.
Christmas, high holiday.
Yes.
You will be
at home
with Eddie and your boys, the end.
Mm-hmm.
So...
And then I told my family that, and my other sister decided they would stay at their house in Kentucky. And then my parents were like, okay, we're going to stay at home too. We're not going to be traveling to you guys. Not in like an unkind way, just like, oh, it might be nice to have a relaxed Christmas, a non-stressful Christmas where everyone's traveling. My dad is a pastor, so he has to be at church for all the Christmas Eve services. So they couldn't travel until Christmas Day anyway.
It sounds like, though, you may have actually set your family free.
I feel kind of a weight lifted off.
Do you?
Yeah.
In what way?
I just like, I have to pack all the gifts and wrap them before we go and put everything in the car. And when you have two small children, it's like you're bringing like your entire house into the car and traveling for 6 hours. And then you're at someone else's house, even though it's your parents' house, it's someone else's house. And your kids don't sleep good. They're hopped up on sugar. You're worried about, are they going to stick their fingers in a plug because it's not baby proofed? You know, it just feels nice to have, looking forward to a relaxing Christmas, not a making sure we do all these things so that we're all together. When you can still be together throughout the year. It doesn't have to be just on Christmas. We can go another time where it's easier for everybody.
Right.
Or doing them just to say we do them, not because anyone's necessarily having a good time.
Right. And then for us,
so true.
Both of our families are there, so then we'd have to like split our time, and it's like scheduling this day with the Downeys, this day with the Cuevases, this day with Downeys, this day with Cuevases. What friends do we want to see? It just becomes a lot.
Yeah, and Daria, your point's so true, right? Like we do things and it takes one person to step back and go, wait a minute, we're all miserable. Like no one here is really having a great time. Mm-hmm. We're tolerating each other.
Yeah.
We're exhausted and we can't wait to go home.
Right.
So at some point you just go, why are we doing this? Now there's some folks listening who are like, oh, it's a great idea. I'm going to do that. Others who go, oh, it might cause chaos in my family if I say I'm not coming. So what's your encouragement to that individual to take that risk? Because it is a risk in some families to say I'm not going to be there.
Yeah, I did think that maybe I would be disappointing some family members if we chose not to do that, or, you know, ruining their plans if they had these lofty plans of we're all together. And I just had to make the choice of, I don't want to be stressed. I don't want my boys to be stressed. And I'd like my kids to have a relaxing Christmas. I'd like for them to sit on their couch, drink hot chocolate, and open presents at home and play with them for as long as they want. And we're not having to rush to get to the next activity or the next person's house.
Somebody might say, but why don't you want them to have fond memories with their grandparents and aunts and uncles opening presents? I mean, they're missing out, Lauren. They're missing it.
They will still have fond memories with their grandparents and aunts and uncles, just at a different time of year.
And fond memories of mom and dad are also important.
Yep.
Fond memories of home.
Mm-hmm.
And the key word there is fond. If they go to these stressful events where everybody's just barely hanging on, the memories might not be fond.
Yeah, it's few and far between. I mean, Sarah and I used to There were many years where we would travel from Chicago to the Minneapolis area, sometimes even further to Southwest Minnesota to visit her family. It was one year we drove through like a blizzard. It took us like 14 hours to get what should have been like a 6 to 8 hour drive. And we had a good time, but it was exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
And I can probably think of a handful of memories that are really like stand out kind of memories. But they even came in the midst of stress. Like we did like this, Sarah's grandma had us do a gift exchange where, you can steal each other's gifts. I don't remember what those are called.
White elephant. Those are fun.
Yeah, super fun. But that was also the same Christmas where the girlfriend of one of her cousins fed one of our infants pie.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
we look over and she's
It's
putting a bite of
literal
pie
baby.
into our literal baby's mouth.
Yeah.
And I thought my wife was going to actually explode.
Yeah, you can pick and choose from, what to remember and what to recall and is fond.
And I think your parents' choice is a pretty bold one. I wish Gigi and Pops were here to talk to us about this. I know Gigi's listening right now because she always does right now. But it's pretty bold for them to make that choice as well. But I think there's a lot of grandparents who could be set free by that. Like you do see your grandkids all the time. And really what your heart longs for is a quiet Christmas morning with the person you love.
Mm-hmm.
How did they do this?
I mean, I think it also helps that when we were growing up, when they were young parents, we also lived far away from our families. And I think we spent a lot of years trying to go see our grandparents who were both in Tennessee. And at one point, my parents were like, okay, that's enough. We are always the ones traveling because we're the ones far away. And I think we've just like, that's enough of that. We're not going to do that anymore. We're going to spend Christmas wherever we are. And we stopped traveling eventually. I have fond memories of being with my cousins at my grandparents' house, but I also still do have fond memories of just being with my sisters and my parents at home. And I think so it's easier for them. They've had a life of a lot of change, a lot of living away from family. And so I don't think it's as dramatic to say, oh, we're not going to travel this year.
Yeah. And it sounds dramatic to have you'd call it a holiday alone, even though you're with your immediate family. Sarah and I have done it for long enough. We've been living away from our family for over 16 years now. And it's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's not that it wouldn't be great if our families were in town, but we've had holidays whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas where it's just us, and it's wonderful.
Yeah. If not right now, today, I would be in such a panic with a to-do list of all the things I needed to pack. I would be, oh my gosh, I have to get all this laundry done so that we have clean clothes to put into our bags so that it can be in the car on Friday. We got it. I just don't, and I'm feeling so relaxed.
Isn't it great?
Yeah. I have to, still wrap all the presents, but okay.
Big
That's
deal.
fine.
Crank up the music and do it
Yes.
over a few days. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get to a break, thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Total side note, my son and I were debating the other night. You mentioned Tennessee.
Yes.
Again, this is screeching halt,
Okay.
180, totally different subject. My son wondered aloud whether people from Tennessee can use one of the greatest pickup lines or whether they can't.
Oh.
Did he, or are you putting this on?
No. This is my son. My son he'd let me say it. Marshall asked me, he goes, Dad, if you live in Tennessee, can you look at someone and go, we must be in Tennessee because you're the only 10 I see?
I don't think it works though, because you're in Tennessee. So it's not like, oh, we must be in Tennessee.
How did your dad do it? Is he from Tennessee?
Yes.
And your mom is too?
Yes.
What was his pickup line?
Well, I don't know.
Did he try the 10
I
IC?
do
you
know
think?
that he showed up late to a church small group.
Oh,
And so everyone was like seated listening to the speaker. I could be like, making this bigger than it was. But from what I recall the story, they were seated and he walked in the wrong door. And so he walked in like behind the speaker
Oh.
and he was late.
And your mom's
there
like,
it is.
that's the one.
Yep.
and he thought, we
And it-
sure are in Tennessee because that Gigi over there, /K, she's the only 10 I see.
Yes. And then they went to the circus for the first date.
Very good. It's a risky move.
That's a bold move.
It's a very bold move.
Tim Downey, living on the
Circus.
edge there.
Yeah.
Hey, this girl, she seems like she could really enjoy a good circus. Feel right at home. Oh, I love it. And Ron, come on, that is one of the best pickup lines.
It is, yeah.
Does that work on? I bet the ladies love that one. We're not going to
No.
let them answer because
No.
I'm sure it works.
No.
Ron. I wish I would have known it.
I
then.
think it
didn't
works
know.
if you like them. If it's like
Yeah,
someone
any-
you don't like, it's like, okay, you're being weird.
Any pickup line works if you like them.